Hello everyone, VJoes832 back again with another edition of What's on Deck. And let's start off with Kickstarter. There's not a whole lot going on this week, but there's some going on. First of all, we got this new deck, which I mentioned before, previously, a little bit. See, Bicycle Samsara, which is from Barry, not his real name, of course, who previously did the Bicycle Sky Descender deck, which you see here in his logo. It is a marked deck. It is currently 34% funded, 22 days to go. Pretty short campaign. It's only like 23 days. Actually, 23 days. It just launched yesterday. 22 days left, so it's a... Excuse me. It's a pretty short campaign. It's a marked deck. Apparently the first Bicycle branded marked deck on Kickstarter. It's a very simple marking. I'll show you that when we get to it. Here's kind of the whole theme, basically. It's based on these words that were written 1,300 years ago by the Tang Dynasty poet, by Dewey. No matter how many times lush grass withers in cold winter, it will always thrive once again in the spring. And it's perfect time to do it too, because it's the spring. It's going to be Bicycle brand, 2,500 decks, made with the Ericus Infinis. It's going to be a reveal on one Joker, add card, and a double backer. Numbered seals, everything is numbered here. You see the aces, a lot of green colors, and a lot of grass elements. The jokers are a little bit weird. You'll see the reveal right here where my cursor is. In his hand or something like that. Can't really see what it is though in this picture, so I can't imagine it's going to be really easy to see on the deck itself. Then we get to the court cards. I noticed one thing, and that is that they're pretty much repeating court cards. There is some minor differences from one to the other, but very minor. I mean, you look at the body and the faces, they're basically the same. All the kings are basically the same, the queens, and the jacks. And the number cards, you know, they're alright. Some nice elements to them. And nice colors. You see the seal, custom and everything. The markings, I'll point them out to you right here. You'll see this is a 4 spades where the cursor is. There's a 4S in the corner. Very simple marking, so you don't have to learn anything. And that's your back design. It's an interesting color. You know, it's not bad. There you see the marking a little bit closer. They have some info. This is the previous deck, the Sky Descender. They had some stretch goals as well at $9,999. T-shirts and posters at $13,000. An unbranded limited edition Samsara with only 1,000 decks at $17,000. An unbranded Sky Descender with only 1,000 decks. I'm not even sure they're going to fund at this rate. They're pretty slow to fund. I know there's definitely people like myself who aren't a huge fan of the artwork or the colors. I'm not a big fan of the court cards that are basically repeating. They come across as a little bit lazy. It's about, well, it's 34%, so it's about a third of the way there. We'll see what happens. Still have time. But, you know, may or may not happen. And I think they're actually the last deck was here. Originally, Sky Descender was on Indiegogo, but you know how Indiegogo is. It doesn't do well. Last time he had not even $8,000 for the Sky Descender, which was a much nicer looking deck, as you can see. And now he's got a higher goal for a deck that's not quite as comparable. Like this one, as you can see, is nice for fanning and whatnot with that back design. And, you know, there is definitely more people interested in it. This one, I don't see as many people having as much interest in it. So we'll see what happens. Next up, I want to mention Teliad playing cards from my friends at Passing Playing Cards. I haven't been promoting this one as much as I should have or could have. It has 71 hours left, so your time to get this is running out. It is funded. Unfortunately, at this rate, it does not look like they're going to hit the stretch goal for the Teliad Dur deck. But the 2 decks we are getting are very nice. I look forward to getting them. And, I mean, there's always a possibility of the other deck in the future, I suppose. Then I want to mention this one, La Catrina. It's funded now. barely. If a couple people cancel their pledges, it might not make it yet, and there's still time for that. And or if there's some people that have credit card problems, they may not fund. My problem with this one, although they've corrected it, is that there was a lot of USPC images and or logos they had. They removed information. Before they were saying that the trademark was, blah blah, something to do with Jordan Corporation, and they had Bicycle and Fournier and Tally Ho logos, and there you go. They still had the Jordan Corporation thing. It says that the supplier and manufacturer for a trademark. So naturally, that means they're printing with the USB-C, right? Wrong. You look at that, it says 310 GSM German cardstock, black core, traditional finish with radiant linen finishing. This is not USB-C stuff, not USB-C terms. And the other thing I have to bring up is that nobody who deals with USB-C says they're dealing with Jordan Corporation. They're dealing with USB-C, they're dealing with Tiffany. Nobody deals directly with Jordan. They're just a parent company. So for him to have this information on here seems bizarre. And then for him to say that they're the supplier and manufacturer for them makes it seem like that USB-C is producing this. But he has confirmed to me that USB-C is not, in fact, producing these. And that was, I guess, kind of a stretch goal that they did not hit. Something like that. But there's no information on that whatsoever. And there's actually no information on who is producing these. It's a nice looking deck. They have a stretch goal, or they have unlocked perhaps I don't know. He said something in a message to me about a dark deck, but I don't see anything here on it. But and then the other thing is this: he has a promise, a guarantee that he will deliver June the 1st. That's when he's going to send out all rewards. And it's definitely possible at this rate, but I don't know. A lot of people have a lot of projects I've seen that say, you know what, it's going to come, whatever, June 2015 or August 2015 or whatever, and they end up not making that deadline. So making a promise may not mean much. But anyways, it's pretty weird. Promises and USB-C trademarks, and it's not USB-C. It's kind of deceiving, and I would recommend not getting it because it almost seems like it's going to be a bait and switch. Oh, look, we're affiliated with Jordan and whatever, and then, oh, it's not USB-C. And people are going to be upset about that, I'm sure. I can almost guarantee it. Let's move along. Next up, Temptress, which is funded 4 days to go. Pretty short project. Only a $99 goal. Let's move on. Stay away from a project like this. If a project only has a goal of $99 or a couple $100, I would recommend staying away from it because, I mean, especially in this case, there's not only a tarot deck, there's also playing card deck as well. A poker deck and a tarot deck, limited edition. How is she going to produce 2 decks with a few $100s? Never mind fulfilling them and feeding herself. This is just, it's not financially feasible. If you ever see any projects that's for like less than $1,000, stay away. Unless it's something like Jackson Robinson when he did his Moriarty deck reprint, where he only set a goal of like $100 because he knew it was gonna, fund instantly, that's fine. If it's from somebody like that, there's no problem. But from somebody who's never done any projects before, or only has a couple of projects, and all of a sudden they're getting involved in playing cards, and they're doing 1 or 2 decks, and they've got a couple $100 goal or $100 goal, limited to 100 for a full deck. Yeah, it's interesting, but I'm not a big fan of it. And then there's not even, I don't even know what this tarot deck is, but just a bunch of people. Oh yeah, somebody's ass. It's interesting, but it just seems like the goal is not financially feasible and too much of a risk. I say avoid it. Next up, this one has an adult warning. If you don't want to see some possibly sexually explicit images. Bye-bye. This is the iNudie Tribute to Lovers Hanafuda and Poker Decks relaunch from Indian Wolf Studios. It's currently 46% funded, 25 days to go, $1,400 goal. The previous attempt was way too high of a goal, and they barely dented their funding. They barely got any funding. And right now it's, again, slow. This one kind of has a minimal appeal because it's a Hanafuda deck and because it has Kama Sutra pictures on it. It's a much more reasonable goal. I think part of the problem, though, as well, why it didn't get more backing is because it's $20 for one deck. If you get two decks, it's only $15 each. That's great. But $20 for a deck is pretty expensive. $20 for a mini deck is way too expensive. This only tells me that they're probably producing a very small quantity, which means that it's going to cost more per deck, so that's why it's more expensive. And I know when I did my own deck, don't ask, I don't have any left. I'm not producing any more. The VJose 32 deck. I only produced 3 bricks, 36 decks. And all my expenses of producing the deck and shipping, and then there was additional shipping charges from stupid UPS at the door. I would have needed at least $15 per deck to sell them for at least $15 per deck to break even, and it was difficult even doing that, even with such a small amount of decks. I was having difficulty moving them, but it is what it is. So yeah, the smaller amount of decks you produce, the more expensive it's going to be. That being said, I'm not sure it says who's producing this, but I'm guessing it's NPC. There's 2 formats, a Hanafuda mini deck and a Fusion standard poker size deck, which is a combination of a Hanafuda and a poker deck. What is a Hanafuda? It's this mini deck you see right here. Back like 100 years ago or so, or a couple of hundred, actually it's not 100 years ago, it was back in the early days of playing cards, I guess it was, produced by NPC. Gambling became illegal in Japan and parts of Asia. So they came up with these Hanafuda decks as a way to get around that. Instead of being traditional playing cards, they replaced all the suits and values with flowers and plants, and they made it a mini size so that it can be easily disguised in somebody's palm in case somebody walked in and you didn't want them to know you were gambling. Just put your hand on it, it's gone. So that's why it's a mini deck. That's why it does not have standard faces. Common in like Japan and Hawaii and whatnot. And actually it talks about it here. Tetratix. Okay. So the Fusion deck has combined that with poker indexes, as you can see. And it's something I wouldn't mind getting, but I'm not really interested at that price. Each value, by the way, has a different month or flower assigned to it. So I'm not even sure if they have kings in this deck or not at the moment. We'll find out. I'm sure the poker deck does. I'm not sure about the Hanafuda deck. Yes. And they're just whatever. Oh my goodness, that looks like a penis. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm not sure it's worth the price. Yeah, also in Korea, blah blah. Contained 48 flower cards plus optional jokers. This edition includes 6 jokers, so you can have 52 plus 2 jokers. And there's all sorts of information about that. But basically, it's translated. Hanafuda is translated in flower cards. If you want more information, check out the project. Next, I want to mention this one as a buyer beware. It's been canceled, but there is plans for a relaunch. It's the day and night cards from a kid, Leonard Heron. He's a 15-year-old kid who's running this along with his dad. My problem is, this is the only artwork you see in the entire project, which makes me question exactly if he has any artwork done or how much artwork he has done. If you want to sell a product like a playing deck of cards on Kickstarter, you need to show us what we're getting, not just put a random picture on your project. Otherwise, it's not very believable that anything has actually been done. He only had a $800 goal, which is not very reasonable. He only had one reward, which is a single deck for $10, and he was not charging any additional shipping. That means his $10 for one deck would go towards shipping a deck to Canada or Europe or wherever, if not more. So that means he was going to have some massive financial problems if this actually funded. Then there's more. What I don't like about this as well is 15-year-old high school student is involved in several programs like jazz band and advanced classes, and of course, time to hang out with friends. And he has a goal to have this project for backers in May. The problem is, if you got this much stuff going on in your life, you're not going to have a lot of time to devote to the artwork, and it might just fall to the wayside. And then there's the whole thing about fulfilling the project. And if you got like 100 orders you got to fulfill, that could become a lot of work. I've seen other projects from people in similar scenarios that have just dragged on and on and on and on. Not only is this kid, who is apparently a collector, not apparently get the information to put together a project correctly, he did not have a reasonable goal, did not set a realistic pledge. He was not charging anything for shipping, international shipping. So $10 is not going to cover nothing. And he's not complete. He has no time to complete. I would avoid this project at any relaunches by all means. I mean, there's no reason to back this. I would avoid it at all costs. Moving along, I have to talk about this one. The Sirens deck. It was funded. This is from Genhai Kai. It was funded, and it's been canceled. Why? I can't tell you. It's an update for backers only. Apparently, it was a unexpected printer issue. Basically, he had decided to go with expert playing cards and had a miscommunication and discovered that he needed to produce 1,000 print runs per deck. So 2,000 decks total. He went back and did the math and is basically, crap, this is not going to work. I don't have enough money. I don't understand why he's got over $22,000 Canadian. I think that'd be enough to print 2,000 decks. But apparently he's going to, figure it out and come back with a relaunch. This one has had a lot of drama and issues. I don't even know what OCN stands for. But, and now it's canceled. And it's already failed before, and I don't know what's going to happen next time around. So we'll see. If he comes back with an even higher goal to get both of these decks produced, it might mean the death of the project entirely. If he comes back with a lower goal, then he might only be producing one deck, which means half as much funding, which might not be good for the future of the project. Even if he comes back with a $20,000 goal for just one deck, that's still half as many decks that people are going to be pledging for, which means half as much money and half as many chances to fund. I don't see a very good future for this unless he's able to do $20,000 and he decides to go with NPC or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted. Next up, this is a buyer beware, and I will review it as soon as I get it. It's a new deck that has 1,500 produced. It's not from any known printer. Nobody seems to be able to get any information on who produced it. It is a expert at the card table deck in white. A couple of things. First of all, you'll see that the tuck case looks like it has a texture to it, right? That's not actually a texture. That is actually just painted on, which is pretty lame and cheap. When you look at it, it looks like something that might have been produced by Conjuring Arts or whatever. But when you actually see it in person, you'll see that it's not. It's lame. It's not good. Then there's more. The Jokers. By the way, as I mentioned, the quality of the cards is apparently crap. It's apparently dollar store quality, very thin. I mean, I will judge it better once I actually get them myself in the next 2 weeks sometime. But from what I've seen from other people and heard, they are not good. Then there's this little problem on the Jokers. You see what that says on the bottom of the Joker? Copyright by S.W. Erdnag. Erdnaz. Who the heck is Erdnaz? It's Erdnaz. It's an S, not a G. That is a massive misspelling error. I don't know if it was accidental or if it was done intentionally because of copyright reasons. I really don't know. This deck, by the way, you look at the back design, it's basically supposed to be a reprint of the original Expert at the Card Table decks that were from like Dan and Dave or Conjuring Arts or whoever did them. It's just a B Diamondback deck. And this is basically a reprint of that, probably an unauthorized reprint. So here you see the text a little bit better. That's not textured, that's just painted on, which is pretty ridiculous. For some reason, I mean, this picture actually looks like it fans okay, somewhat okay. So I'll be a better judge when I get it, but it's not the best or nicest fan, that's for sure. It's pretty lazy, lackluster, lame. I would avoid it. I don't know, I don't understand this, is why Murphy's Magic decided to get these and is, giving them to all their merchants, and it's crap. That has been talked that this is associated with Aloy Studio, which I'm not quite sure I believe, because for all intents and purposes, as far as I know, they're dead. I haven't seen anything from them in ages. And also talked that it's from this guy, Chaim Goldenberg, who's apparently an Israeli-Canadian magician. Apparently they handle very well and has a Taiwan plant feel, but is not from Expert playing cards or Legends playing cards, but it might still be from the same plant. But nobody's been able to get any solid answers as to who actually produced these. Apparently they were produced in the Taiwan factory. But yeah, there's the spelling error. It's pretty crappy. I don't understand why, if the quality is that poor and whatnot, why Murphy's Magic would get behind it. But I guess I'll find out soon when I get them. Next up, why not this one new deck coming from Fear 11 called the Citizens. Looks pretty nice. Reminds me of Counterbrands. Some might say a bit of Nomad. I'm sure it's coming soon enough because they've been posting pictures recently, and that can only mean that it's coming imminently. Speaking of Fear 11, I should mention Illusionist is recently selling, or are selling right now, a package of 15 seconds decks. Basically, 15 decks you can get for, I think it was $60 plus shipping, which is probably going to be, lots for shipping. But it's basically 15 decks that are, maybe they have some dents, maybe there's some other damage on a tuck case, maybe torn cellophane, who knows. But they're basically decks that they can't sell regularly, so they're selling them in a package of 15 random decks. So if you want some decks that are a pretty decent price from Illusionist, go check it out. Next up, I want to mention this one, Lux Elliptica. Pre-orders begin April 1st, 4 p.m. UK time. And there's apparently a giveaway going on. There's no images here, but they're excellent looking decks. And this one is coming. I'll get back to you. Oh, maybe I should check it out right now. Coming. It's coming right here. Jet Setter playing cards. The Premier Edition is coming. What does it say? March 29th, this Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's really early. Jet blue color. Altitude Blue, that is. Premier Edition in Altitude Blue. Looks very nice. Looking forward to checking this one out. This is from Paul Rucchio. In fact, we can get a sneak peek at the project right here, thanks to Paul. Probably shouldn't be showing this to you, but I am. That's a pretty good price. I'm happy with that price. I'm definitely backing this one, and I do recommend it. It's a luxury edition of Jet Setter playing cards. Blah, blah. Very nice back design, as you can see. It's kind of a combination of his previous one, which is just a bunch of planes, with a nice new logo and a border. Very nice ace of spades. Nice recolored but standard court cards. Jokers, I really like that. The Jokers resemble a pair of Fixus airline boarding passes for a round trip flight. And I believe there's a reveal in them as well. Yes. And as an added bonus, for a traveling magician, both Jokers have a location dedicated for a written prediction or signature. So that's pretty awesome. To be produced by Expert Playing Card Company. Be sure to check them out Tuesday. I know I will. And that is that for this week. And, coming up this week on Kickstarter on my channel, it's Bicycle Week. I'm doing a few different bicycle deck reviews, starting off with the Bicycle Academy of Magical Arts tomorrow. And then there's going to be Bicycle Faded Riderbacks and the Bicycle Vintage Design series. And then on Wednesday, it'll be the Bicycle Cyclist decks, including, with any luck, the Neon Cyclist deck, which I should have in a day or two. On Thursday, Bicycle Carnival Death Heads Annihilation Edition and the Bicycle Carnival Black Assassins from Big Blind Media. Friday, Bicycle Sharks in blue and green colors. And on Saturday, Breast Cancer Bicycle decks in a comparison of that. And a whole bunch more coming next week. I got stuff lined up for the entire month. I posted a video the other day and sneak peek at May, Aloy, Pith, and more. Anyways, by the way, you can go here to the discussion on my channel to check out my schedule anytime you want. That is that. I'll see you next time.